Oh, that's so cute. Her thing in the back.
Revive
Revive. I feel like I need better
with
lighting.
Janna.
I think I
My,
need to invest in better lighting.
I think you look great and your house looks amazing.
Thank you.
So, we are here on the Embodied Woman podcast with Amber Susa, myself, Siri Baruc Thornton, and Janna Johnson, which we're so honored and delighted and excited to connect with. But I'm going to let Amber talk because Amber knows
Okay.
Janna.
Hi, Janna.
Hello, can y'all hear me good?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Uh,
Apparently my Focusrite needed to do a software update, and that's my microphone.
oh,
Software?
well, we're all good now? Everything's working?
We're all good as long as y'all
We're all
can
good.
hear me good.
I can hear you really well.
All right. Let me get
Well,
my
Yeah.
well,
I can-
Amber's got your bio.
I
Oh,
have your bio, and I just wanted to kind of give a little intro to how I know Janna. So Janna just wrote a book, and it's called Unfuck Your Mind. Okay.
Yeah, baby.
I mean, enough said, right? Like this is we know who we're about to have a conversation with. She's like, I'm getting straight to the point. There's no sugarcoating it. But so how I met Janna was because I'm also writing a book. And our publisher, Samantha Joy, put us together because she thought it would be really helpful to have an accountability buddy to check in with who was on this writing journey. And because we also have a lot in common. My book is called Born to Be All of Me. And Janna, her whole book is all about living the life that you were meant to live. And so it's pretty cool. Like we have a similar message and some similar experiences. That said, I'm going to go ahead and read her bio because it'll give you a little bit more insight into what I'm talking about. Okay, here we go. So Janna Johnson is a born and raised Texas girl. She is the host of the Revive with Janna podcast and author of her soon-to-be-released book, Unfuck Your Mind. She is a mindset coach, holistic nutritionist, and integrative nutrition health coach, and a narcissist abuse navigator. Whew. It is her passion to teach others how to revive from the inside out so they can feel their very best. Janna learned during her battle with Lyme, hypothyroidism, candida, and leaky gut the power of food as medicine. However, it was when she shifted her mindset to believe she could heal herself 100% that allowed her to do what she had to do to get her life back. Janna is unapologetically and unfiltered and authentic, and I can't wait for you to meet her. Yay!
Hello. That was a beautiful introduction. I mean, that was absolutely amazing. Thank you for that.
Oh, you're so welcome. We're so happy to be here with you and hear more of your story and learn more about your book and all the reasons why you're an expert on navigating narcissistic behavior.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be on your show and appreciate y'all having me just to kind of share the message. I think sometimes all people really want to feel is not alone, and just knowing that someone else made it through it, whether it's Lyme disease or a tumultuous marriage or just a really rough time, anything with health. It's just nice sometimes to just see like, hey, someone else has been here and they made it through.
I love that. Amen. That's why we all do what we do, right? We hope
Yes.
that our experience can somehow touch another life and give someone hope.
100%.
Yeah.
Gold in every part of your story.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's really, really hard sometimes when adversity comes our way to not just stay in the victim mindset. I think a lot of the times our initial reaction when something happens, because you're not expecting it, right? And I think it's just like, always like, why is this happening? Why me? I need a break. And I think that's totally normal. It's just we can't stay in that victim mindset though.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's the hard part. And that's a lot of what my book is about. It's not just the overcoming. It was why I reacted the way I did to things and why the victim mindset didn't work. And, you know, we're all a product of our environment. Some people don't like that because they think it means it's something negative. But the truth is that we all act and behave based upon how we grew up and the environment we grew up. And that's how our reactions are based. And so that's not always a good thing in a sense of, you know, maybe our parents made us feel like we weren't good enough, or we weren't told we were loved enough, or whatever it was. For me, I've always felt invisible growing up.
Mm.
And I lived in a very critical household, and so it was that feeling of like there was nothing ever good enough,
That
and that
becomes your
carried with
internal
me.
voice.
It carried with me and through into life until I realized I let everyone else put these negative labels on me. But the thing was, they were handing me the label and I was taking it and putting it on. It was time to take those damn labels off.
Mm.
So that's a lot of what my book is about. It's just, you know, who are we without all that crap?
Mm-hmm.
And you can either live with it every single day and it can be your anchor and let the weeds grow over you, or you can just pull all the damn weeds out. And when you do that, then you can have your beautiful garden, right? And everything blooms.
I love that analogy. That's gorgeous. I'm curious what life experience has been significant for you where you were just never the same afterwards.
Yeah, there were two, and I go in depth with these in the book, and I call them the catalyst. So the first catalyst that prompted change was Lyme disease. It came, I was 30 years old. This was been 12 years ago, almost 13. I was 30 years old, and I had no health problems, you know, other than just the minor things. And then one day I just couldn't function. And so it took a year and a half of living in pure hell 24/7, almost a million minutes, until a doctor found out what was making me so sick. At that point, it was chronic Lyme. And, you know, there's been lots of leaps and bounds and changes with Lyme disease now, but it still is a disease where there's not a one size fits all on what's going to get you well, or if you will. And I have three kids now, but back then I just had my two oldest. They were 2 and 4, and I was super mom and I worked and I, you know, felt like I did it all. And then I was a shell of a woman. I didn't know who
Mhm.
I was. I couldn't remember my kids' names. The bacteria had infected my brain so bad.
Oh, wow.
And I had an invisible disease. So people would look at me and be like, y'all looking at me now. And I'm sitting here talking about how bad I feel. And you're like, well, she's just complaining. She
Yep.
looks fine. I was not fine. I would pray at night that I didn't wake up the next morning.
Mm.
God, if you love me, don't let me wake up the next morning and feel this way. And I would pray for my faith to break, because if my faith breaks, I'll give up. And the thing is that, you know, I had my very first keynote speech I gave was called My Inner Warrior. And it's what this was about. Your inner warrior is that part of you, it's your faith that you don't realize is just there. It's just that it's that coal, right? From the fire that just stays burning. And when the tough times come knocking on your door, that inner warrior kicks in.
Mm.
And we all have it.
Mhm.
We just got to stop feeling sorry for ourselves sometimes.
Mhm.
You got to pull yourself up by the bootstraps, as we say here in Texas. Put your big girl panties on, and nobody else is going to do anything for you. They're just not.
Yeah.
You got one option, and that's you. And so that's a long story short on Lyme. If y'all can ask me any questions you want, but that was my first catalyst to the change. And so one day when I realized, it was the day I almost took my life. I was on an overpass. I was by myself. I was so sick I couldn't remember my kids' names or my address or where I lived. And if it wasn't for the cars beneath me, I was just going to veer off, because I didn't want to live in that hell for one more second
Mm.
inside my body. And that was the moment that brought me to my knees when I got home. And I said, God, if you're putting me through this, and what really truly, and I still get emotional talking about this many years later, which by the way, I healed myself 100%. And I did that by using food as my medicine and not my poison, and starving the disease out. That's what led me to being a nutritionist. But when I got home that day, I just thought my kids were not put here on this earth with me as a mom like this. They deserve better. So I know God has something else for me. And I told him, if you are putting me through this just to help one more person, God, then send me through it. And I will try to do different with you, but I need your help. And the reason I share that, that was the turning point in Lyme disease, where I realized I was in a victim mindset. And it's like, well, Janna, you should be. Well, yeah, but what was it going to do for me? What was I going to do to sit around and mope and cry? Not a damn thing. And I didn't have anyone. My ex-husband now, who was my husband then, he didn't care. My dad never called me once. My mom at that time nobody gave a shit. I was alone. I had 2 little kids and a full-time nanny. I didn't have a soul. And that was when I realized it was all up to me. And when my thinking towards mindset changed, and I went from this is a life sentence to I'm going to get well. I don't know how. And I looked in the mirror and I said, fuck Lyme. I couldn't look at myself at the time. So it'd been about over a year and a half until I'd looked really in a mirror at me. And I just said, fuck Lyme. You're not going to win. I'm going to win. And when I did that, what I didn't realize, ladies, was that looking back about a year after that, I realized that that was a turning moment. I didn't know in the moment it was, because it, to me, every day was like a blur. But when I looked back, I realized, hey, hold on a second. When I started to think differently, my actions followed. So Lyme was the first catalyst in me realizing that there was something there in the mindset. And I had never lived my life before then, even realizing, and again, this is another reason for the book, I never realized even the concept of, hey, I don't have to believe every thought that comes in my head.
Right.
You know, is that even true? So this was a long journey. I healed myself 100%. I healed my gut, my thyroid, and it led me down this road, as I said previously, onto like, wow, the power of food. So I go down that road, and then I have my 3rd kid, and I had asked God. I'd written a letter, and it was I called it my prayer box. It's still in my closet today. And I wrote a letter to God. This is when I was sick. And I said, the sign to me when I get well is I'll have another kid, because I'd had a miscarriage when I was sick with Lyme. I missed a good 2 years of my other kids' lives because there was no memory there. And so when I got well, I got pregnant with my youngest, Broden, who's now 8. Wow. And it was just a magical time in my life right then. So when I became a nutritionist and a health coach, and I really, really started to just kind of claim my power back, so to speak, that's when things in my marriage started to go downhill.
Right.
And
yeah, change that dynamic.
I didn't mean to make you cry.
Oh, we're both crying.
I'm so emotional. I'm just so touched, and I'm so freaking grateful to be having this conversation, because I think it will inspire so many people. And I love inspiring people that might be in the dark places that you talked about, that I've talked about, that Siri, you've talked about. I love that. So yes, continue. Your story is incredible.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And you know, Amber, you understand that when you're writing the book, it just brings out this emotion, right?
Oh, yes.
And now I got my nose and eyes are running. It brings out this emotion in you that's just really raw and real.
Yep.
But there's just certain things that sometimes when I talk about them, I'm fine. And then there's just other days where you're just like, you just feel more sensitive. So for
Mhm.
right now, and if, those of you who don't know, Amber and I are in the editing process of our books. And so it's really, really fun, but you're rereading it over and over again. And it's weird, right? Because you're like, oh, wait, I'm reading my own book.
Right.
And it's a little emotional. So this is like super raw right now, right?
Oh, very. I was talking to Siri yesterday crying because I'm reliving a lot of my life experiences that I look back on and I'm like, who was that woman? Who was that girl? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not her
That's right
today.
there is a sign of that's a sign of growth. I believe when you don't recognize your old self,
Right.
you want to do that in a good way, right? Not in like, man, I miss her. Hey, but
Yeah.
no, it's like, wow, look how far I've come.
Yeah, totally.
So I'm, like I said, here I am, and I'm like, you know what? This is, I'll give a little hint out, a little clue. My prologue references this a little bit, but I was told in this marriage that I would never make more than minimum wage. I couldn't support our family if it was up to me,
Mhm.
and nobody would ever want to pay me. And I was stupid and worthless, right? And again, I accepted the labels and I put them on me. But when I started to just get this fire burning inside of me of nutrition, right? I'm just like, gosh, there's so many people I can help. I know there's people that were where I was with Lyme disease, right? It's like when I was sick with Lyme, all I wanted to do was find the story of hope, the person who was as sick as I was that got well.
Mhm.
And then I realized that that's what I'm supposed to be doing. I am supposed to be that story. So as I as I started to go back to school, become, you know, it's like here I am at that point. I was 37, 37, 36, 37. And I just right now realize what it was that I was supposed to be doing here on earth, right?
Mhm.
And so I just had this fire inside of me, but at the same time, I had somebody trying to push me down all the time, right? But I still was just like, whatever. Maybe he's right, but I got to keep going after it. And then I created Revived by Janna, and I started to see clients, and I had my website, and I built it all. And it was like I was proud of myself. And I didn't even know what a narcissist was at this time. Like I mean, I'd heard the word. I didn't know what the definition was, right?
Yeah, it didn't become more popular of a word until in the past like five
Oh,
years,
the
maybe.
last 2 years, or really four, yeah, five.
Yeah.
It's just been like, wow. And then there's a little bit of an overuse, right? So for me,
Mm-hmm.
um, I didn't realize that that was who he was. So the thing with narcissists to know, and I recorded an episode about this the other day, my Narcissist 101. I've really just now started to help people with it because I didn't realize how much I really had to share and help until I'd really helped some women that were in as bad of a situation as I was. And I was like, man, I'm helping someone, and it's working.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, so when you are with a narcissist and you're not aware of it, you have the love bombing at first, right? It's like, oh, they made me feel so good and they love me. Ooh. And then they reel you in, and then they start to learn about you, and they want to learn about you because your past becomes their playground.
Mm.
And every little thing they learn about you, they're going to use it against you, and they're going to use it to manipulate you.
Mm.
And I, unbeknownst to me, right? When I become something for myself that was outside of what I was told to do and how I should do it and who I should be, well, his true colors started to show. And I'm like, who is this person? Like this isn't who I've been married to for 13 years.
Oh, wow.
Well, I I had an inkling that he was having an affair. We have 3 kids. I still was the controller of 8 entities that we owned. So basically an accountant. And I also had Revived by Janna. And I did everything. I ran the household. I did it all. And that person all of a sudden was just never there. Right. acting different. Behavior towards me was pretty bad and very demeaning and critical and put me down. And 6 months after my suspicion, I saw the proof that he was having an affair. So that went on for 2 years. And I was lied to. I was told it ended and so forth and so forth. But when I found the proof, that was the second and final catalyst. So for me to answer your question, it was two different catalysts that it took me to my knees and prompted me to just, there was only one way I could go up from there, right? I couldn't go any further down. And I left that day and I packed and I went to Oklahoma. I have no one I know there. I just wanted to go. There was a town my mom and my daughter and I had went to a few years prior. And I just wanted to go back there. And I wanted that 9-hour drive from Austin, Texas to Oklahoma. And I just cried and I poured my heart out. And I was like, man, God, was Lyme disease not enough? Like, what did I do? I can't even stand to see someone hurt. And I've done nothing but be a good, faithful wife. And I don't understand why. Once again, I feel like I'm not good enough. What's wrong with me? What did my 3 kids do to deserve this? And I got just flooded with emotions and I had to pull over on the side of the road. And I swear it's like God showed me what forgiveness was right then and there in that moment. Up to then, I believed that forgiveness meant that, hey, what you did was okay. That's not what forgiveness meant. I just never knew that. Forgiveness is not for the other person, it's for you. Forgiveness is saying, you bled on me once, but you're not going to bleed on me every damn day afterwards. I'm forgiving you because that's not on me. And then that's when the universe then can handle that person. Call it karma. I don't give a shit. It's just that it's not a weight in your life anymore. Mm-hmm. So, I stayed there for a week and I was by myself. There was no TV. There was no radio. And I just did a lot of soul searching. It was in that moment that I found a therapist, and I didn't care what I was told anymore, that, therapists for crazy people and da 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 and whatever. I didn't ask if that amount was approved for me to spend. I didn't give a shit anymore. And I was sick and tired of being told what to do. I am naturally a very independent, strong-willed person, very opinionated, if y'all can't tell. And I had just been pushed into this box by him and by everybody else, the safety box, right? I was fucking tired of it. And I had felt the most pain I'd ever felt in my life. And then it was also like everyone else that had bled on me and all this shit, it just all came to a head in that moment. And I was just like, fucking wanted to just break free. I was tired of it. I was tired of all those invisible chains holding me the fuck back. And I went back and I poured myself into therapy. And here's something that I didn't know. Therapy isn't to fix you. If you're going to a therapist because you think you need to be fixed, it's never going to work. But if you're going to a therapist because you just want to understand things a little differently and have a different outlook, and nothing's wrong with you, it can help. And I found a really great therapist. She was the one who taught me what a narcissist was. And I just remember when I got home after that session and I really started to dive into it, because that's what I do, right? I'm a research person. That's when I was like, holy crap. And as I started to get my own strength and power and learn how to deal with a narcissist, it just made him worse, because the things that he always had done, and he knew, like, those are her triggers. This is how she'll react. And then I'm going to blame her for the reaction. And I'm going to be like, look, see, you're crazy. See, look how you're reacting. Even though it's exactly
Gaslighting.
what he was going for,
Mhm.
I just took it away. And so going through that for a few years and then the divorce, I got my voice back. And the best thing I ever did was I learned how to communicate with a narcissist. And it's been, ooh, it's almost been 4 years. And a narcissist is never going to change. They're never going to stop being ugly to you. You can't control him or them or other people, but you can control yourself. You can change your outlook on life and your perspective. You can control what you allow to bother you. It's like you get that first, like, oh, I'm mad. And you're like, but hold on. Do I want to be mad? Is it worth my energy?
Yeah.
Right. So with a narcissist, I learned you disengage or you don't engage. Right. Send me a novel email. Hey, I know a publisher. If you want to write a book, send me a novel email. I'm going to look through it. I'm going to find the logistics that you're really trying to talk about with the kids. And that's all I'm going to respond to. And if there's nothing like that, you're not even going to get a response. So going down that road, that was the last and final catalyst to me, not only finding my voice and myself and my wings, but to finally really knowing this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. This is exactly where I'm supposed to be in life. Yes, I'm a good nutritionist, but the mindset, that's where it's at, because you cannot be more successful than your mindset. Your actions follow your thinking. So I can teach you all day long how to eat, how to be healthy, but if your mindset's not there, it doesn't matter. So that's a very long-winded answer, by the way.
No, so good. Siri and I were like on the edge of seats listening. I mean, wow. First of all, I just thank you for being so honest and so vulnerable and so courageous and sharing your story in the way that you do and being such an inspiration. I mean, when Siri and I were talking about doing this podcast, The Embodied Woman, I thought of you because
to
me,
thank you.
Yeah, I mean, but to me, that's what it is, right? To go through everything that you've gone through and to take your power back and to use everything that you've gone through and for good, and to embody all of who you are, who you were meant to be, the life that you were meant to live, all of your gifts and the truth of who you are. This is who you are embodying. And all of that before that was not the truth of who you are. And that's why that relationship had to end. That's why my marriage had to end, because I was not embodying the truth of who I was when I was, when I got into that relationship. And so similar to you, when I started becoming empowered and embodied and taking my power back, it really put a lot of tension, on the relationship even more, because that's not the silent agreement that we had made.
Yeah. They don't like that, right? And it's not just, this isn't just men. I'm going to tell you the hardest narcissist to my therapist taught me about the kind of narcissist that he was. And then I found out a year or so later about covert narcissists, right? The hardest ones to spot are the female covert narcissist. I had a best friend at the time that I did not know was one. And so it's not just men. I don't want any men listening to think that I'm singling them out at all, because this is in men and women. And narcissists absolutely don't like it if you exhibit your power and your independence. That's a really easy way honestly, if someone's ever wondering like, well, how do I know? Well, stick to your guns, be strong and independent. And hey, they can't feed off of you that way. That leech can't attach to you. If you don't give them anything to suck on, they're leeches. That's what they are. Narcissists are the most insensitive, fragile humans, and they build this facade and this false reality to protect themselves and to show that they are the opposite of what they really feel inside. They don't handle strong people very well. And so that's really the easiest way to know if you're dealing with a narcissist. That's what I have learned anyways.
I also learned that it's because they didn't get their needs met. And I'm not saying that's an
Yep.
excuse, but I'm saying that's what I think forms that.
100%. 100%. Oftentimes they did not have the maternal affection and love and coddling, or they were praised only. They were only praised for like when they did good, right? For me, I tell my kids I love them every day, whether they're, being ornery or not.
Unconditional love.
Oftentimes narcissists don't have unconditional love, and they only got praised when they did something good,
Right.
But yeah, it's narcissism is a disease, and
Interesting.
oftentimes they get so wrapped up that they don't even realize that they're lying. They start to believe their own lies.
Yeah, that could be the whole episode in itself,
about 10 more
as far as all
episodes.
that. Yeah, for sure. But I think the takeaway and the hope is that when we become our most empowered, embodied version of ourselves, we have more discernment in all of our relationships. And we have I'd love to hear from you also, what you believe, makes you an embodied woman, or what you think that means. But for me, I would say, I know my worth. I know, my value. I love myself. I am an integrated, I've integrated all aspects of myself. I am more discerning. I am more powerful. I feel that fire that you talked about burning inside of me. Yeah, you've shared a lot about the life experiences that you've had, that clearly make you an expert in what you do now, and how you can help people, because you've successfully navigated so many things. Can you share with us, like, when you hear the word embodied, or being an embodied woman, what does that mean to you?
I think it means being unapologetically authentic and true to yourself. I do feel that women are much more critical of women than they should be. I don't think it's like that with guys as much. At least I don't see that. They're a lot more accepting of one another. And I don't think that women are as accepting of each other as they should be. And that
I
makes
think
me
we've
really
been
sad.
conditioned to see each other as a threat.
Yeah. That makes, and that, it makes me sad. Again, for me, I dealt with not feeling good enough for a really long time. And, there wasn't a lot of girls or women that liked me. You cuss too much. I'm a tomboy. I behave a little bit more like a boy. But so for me, the word embody means I embodied all that I was and authentically am. And I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but I don't want to be. It's just being true to myself, being the best person that I can be every single day. If you're a mom, to me, it means being the best mom you can be, and raising your kids. Look, if you don't deal with your wounds, then you're giving them to your kids to deal with. So try to be the best version of yourself so that your kids can do the same. So that's what embody means to me. Just trying to be your very best every day, constantly growing and evolving, never stop learning. and just embracing every little part of yourself and loving and accepting yourself for all you are.
So I'm curious because we know that you're using food as medicine. That's one
Mhm.
of your tools, your major tools that you
Yep.
learned. So what are some other tools that people can tap into that you feel you're most embodied when you're doing that activity or that practice?
Are you referencing the nutrition side of it?
Just
Like,
anything.
Anything. Like, what are your go-tos when you're feeling maybe not as embodied or as empowered as you'd like to? Because
yeah,
we all get off track, or we all have
do.
tips.
We
So
do. And I
what
know Amber and I have talked about this when we first met, became book buddies, was this process of writing a book really, I think, brought me a lot of reminders that I had to go back to, right? Because it was so different and my life became very different for 6 months. But I believe because in this, I had to go back to this a lot and even write little notes on it, was some days I just had to recenter myself. Because going through the book writing process, it brought out a lot of things that even though I felt healed, it still was just like a lot at once. And I just felt like I got off track a little bit some days. Right. And when I really started writing the book in that first month, I realized I was like, oh my gosh, I've been really grouchy and not myself for 4 weeks. And I don't like who I am right now.
Mm.
And I realized that I was writing about some really deep things and it was causing me to react as if I was back in that time of my life. And so for me, when I get into those hard moments like that or days, because we all have them, sometimes for me, it's just how I reconnect. And that's meditation music and getting outside in nature. Sometimes just taking a break and saying, I'm not going to accomplish a whole lot in this mindset. And I need to go get in a better mindset. So I like to go play with my kids, laugh with them. Sometimes I just want to go listen to my music and just belt it out. Sorry, neighbors. For me, it's just kind of just like recentering yourself, shake it off, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
And we all have different ways of doing it. But I honestly think, and this is one of the last sub chapters in my book, it's called The Power of Alone Time. I really do believe that the power of alone time really is what recenters us, because I don't think a lot of us get true alone time. We feel it with stuff. We got to be doing something. I don't want to tell anybody I didn't do anything. It sounds lazy. And we fill our lives with so much crap that you can't self-reflect if you're never alone with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, the power of alone time is ultimately what I need to recenter and to reflect on my life. And I think there's a
So
lot
good.
of power in alone time, and nobody should feel guilty about it. And by the way, if
Yes.
anybody judges you, if someone judges you ever in your life, they're a weed, pluck them and get the fuck out, because you should only be surrounded by people who love and support you. I will never again, ever in my life, live with someone or have someone in my life that makes me feel guilty for being me or for doing what I have to do for myself. There is a reason on the plane they tell you to put the oxygen mask on first, because you're not good for anybody else if you're not there.
Got
I hope that
it.
helps.
Love
Amen.
it.
I love
Alone
that.
time for the win.
That's it.
Yes, alone time.
I
Get
mean,
some Adele. Adele's always good.
ah,
Torn
Oh,
Dangle.
Adele is my favorite.
She
belting
helps me with my
out
book a lot.
Adele and having alone time. I think those are two incredibly powerful embodiment practices. Singing loudly and yeah, being alone. I never knew how much I enjoyed being alone until I got a divorce and I was forced to be alone because my kids would be with their dad. And so I had a lot of opportunities to learn how to be alone. And now I'm like, my kids are like, yeah, mom loves being alone. I'm like, oh, I mean, yes.
But you're right. That was the same thing for me. And, you know, and y'all can cut me off if I go over, but that was the hardest day for me of that whole divorce. The absolute most painful day of my life to this moment was the day that I had to tell my kids about the divorce. And then he took them that first weekend.
Oh,
And that emptiness of the house was brutal. I mean, I honestly felt like I could just physically see my heart on the floor in pieces, right?
yeah.
But I remember the first time I walked back into the house after that person had got all of his stuff the next day. And I could finally feel my energy for the first time. And that was the moment for me, like you just said for you, that was the moment where I was like, this feels really good. That's been his energy all along that I was feeling. And I do want to keep this house and I'm going to make it my own. And this is my energy. And I was, for the first time, was like, I'm going to look forward to being alone. I need it. I need it to heal. And that's where I've gotten most of my book writing done, is every other week.
Yeah. Oh
I
my
mean,
God. This is such a great conversation. I keep talking.
I also feel like once you become a mother, you just crave that alone time.
Yes, because you can't think. You get overwhelmed. I have 3 kids. I'm like, I'm fixing to be on a show. Y'all can't yell or scream. And it's just one, two, there's 3 of them. It feels like there's 30.
Right.
And
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I highly recommend anybody's going to go, buy a house anytime in the future, get your master closet inside of your master bathroom. That's 2 different doors you get to lock. I love being in my bathroom and my closet.
Oh, me too.
You know what? Make
Me
it
too.
comfortable, make it cute. I recently got remarried and I don't give a shit if he likes pink or not, but thank God he does. I'm like, this is my house and my pink couch and then my closet with my foo-foo stuff. But I spend a lot of time here. Okay.
I love that so much. Oh my God.
I will sit in a hot bath with the door locked for as long as possible.
Isn't that the best? Little Epsom salt, some bubble bath. The lights are dim. And Sarah McLachlan, Adele, Lauren Daigle. I just can go on and on.
Love
and
it.
I'm just like, peace out.
Peace out.
Do you have a candle that you light?
I do. I have a candle that I keep in my bathroom, and I'm huge on what are they? The battery candles with the remote.
Okay.
I love those darn things. Those are great. I don't have to worry about burning my hair. I have caught my hair on fire in the bathtub. I was pregnant with my 3rd and my belly was so big. I was trying to shave my legs.
Oh my God.
And I didn't realize how I had my bun.
Well, you have a lot of hair.
What's that smell? Oh, my hair. I had to dunk my head in the bathtub. Not a good sight. Not a good sight.
Not a good
Oh my
sight.
goodness.
Okay, so battery candles.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Oh my God, I love it. There's God, this conversation is so amazing. I would actually love to even have you back again and talk more, because we could dive into so many of these things. But will you tell us? Okay, so I know that your book is coming out in December.
Yeah, December 11th.
Okay.
6 weeks.
Yay! Oh, I'm behind you. Mine's coming out in January. So
it goes fast, especially when it's in editing now. And I'm like, oh, shit's real. Oh, right.
It's really happening. It's really, really happening. Well, you are such an incredible inspiration. I think it makes me so happy to have these kinds of conversations, because I mean, there could be women that are listening who, who've had Lyme disease, or who have been in a relationship with a narcissist, or who, so many things that you've been through, or who have had a vision to write a book and have been afraid to. You are an example. You are an embodied woman, living example of what is possible. And that is,
thank you. And so are y'all, right? And that's, y'all's podcast, you writing your book. It's I just think the what we're the most scared of, we should probably be doing. And I have a new take on life, and that is, if it scares me, I'm fucking doing it. because I'm tired of giving in to fear, and I'm not going to do that anymore.
Janna, you're very inspiring. And just
Thank
something
you.
that I notice is just your voice carries so much warmth and
I
wisdom.
appreciate that.
So much warmth and wisdom. It's so beautiful to listen to you. And I can tell that you've done a lot of work.
A lot of work, a lot of sloppy days on the face, you know. I wear my emotions on my face, and then I learned about Botox, and so it's really helped. You get 42, the wrinkles show. No, I appreciate
Girl.
that. I honestly have never really liked my voice. It was hard to hear when I started my podcast. And then I've heard some comments about, you have a soothing voice. And I'm
You
like,
do.
I'm glad to know that. It's not as soothing my kids say when I sing. No, they don't like it when I sing.
Well, I find it very soothing, very comforting, very warm, very inviting. I think that our listeners are going to absolutely love listening to you.
Oh, well, thank you
share your
so much.
story.
I've really enjoyed. I could talk to y'all for a few more hours.
I
The
know.
landscapers just decided to show up.
Oh, perfect timing.
We're so
They know.
grateful.
The landscapers know. They're like, she's about to record. Time, let's start it up, guys.
Yep. We're so grateful. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I've honestly, this has been one of my favorite shows I've done. I've really enjoyed this conversation. I could talk with y'all all day.
Oh.
Well, we like to talk for long periods of time.
Yeah, we don't stop.
Hey, that's all right.
We will put all of this in the show notes, but can you just tell people where can they find you, and in what ways can they work with you, and what's the release date one more time of your book?
Oh, thank you. Unfuck Your Mind comes out December 11th, and it'll be on Amazon first and foremost, and then I'm gonna try to get some brick and mortars. revivebyjanna.com is my website, and social media is all Revive by Janna, and that's with 2 N's. And now, to confuse you, my podcast is Revive with Janna, because you can only revive with me, right?
Yeah.
So that's where everybody can find me. And I'm going to have a course soon on my website that's going to kind of come out with the book to just kind of help people start the process of unpacking it all, right?
Beautiful.
And how do you know what your limiting beliefs are? Where do they stem from? Because that's what everybody wants to know. So hopefully that's going to help everybody out.
Yes, thank you so much. This is wonderful.
Yeah.
You're going to help a lot of women. Absolutely.
Hey, I think that women empowering women is one of the best things ever. And I think we all just need to love and accept each other a little more, because we all have our own battles to fight. And it doesn't help when someone's just, being rude. So maybe we could just all be nicer people.
Don't be rude.
Don't be rude. Be nice.
All
right, ladies. We'll see you soon.
Thank y'all so much. I hope y'all all have a really good day.
You too.
You too.
All righty.